Jürgen Klopp has yet again proven himself to be a top manager. After all his success with Dortmund, he's now at it again with Liverpool. So today we're going to put together a top 11 of all the players that Jürgen Klopp has managed. First up and in goal, it's Alisson. And yes, before we start, this will be a pretty Liverpool heavy video because his Liverpool team are utterly ridiculous. But anyway, in goal will be Alisson. Roman Weidenfeller had a fantastic time at Dortmund under Jürgen Klopp, but there's something about the Brazilian which just not only screams that he's a good goalkeeper, but just in general, he's a brilliant football player and certainly has helped the way that Liverpool play and build up their attacks. A key part to Jürgen Klopp's system, and you've seen that because when he's not there and Adrian's in or someone else, things don't quite go so well for Liverpool. Moving into the defence and the right back position is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now this was actually quite a difficult one, mainly because of the longevity of the career that Lucas Piszczek has had, not only at Dortmund, but under Jürgen Klopp as well. He played for far more seasons than Alexander-Arnold has at the moment. Having said that, Alexander-Arnold is far the better player. I mean, if you were to put the two side by side in their prime and pick a team, who would you have starting over the other? I mean, I'm pretty sure Alexander-Arnold would definitely win. He'd definitely get into that Dortmund team, and if Piszczek was in the best form of his career, would he get into this current Liverpool team? I don't think so, and it kind of made the choice a little bit easier in the end. But the first player away from that Liverpool side is Mats Hummels. Now, you're probably thinking of Hummels as the man who just about managed to reignite his career back at Dortmund after a few not so good years at Bayern Munich. But don't forget that when Dortmund had Klopp and when they had Hummels, he was one of the best centre-backs in Europe. In fact, he was obviously that good that Bayern Munich decided to pay the money for him, and he was an absolute stalwart in the German defence. In all honesty, the form he's shown this season and the form that we know Mats Hummels can produce, I wouldn't put it past Jürgen Klopp picking him if he had him at Liverpool today alongside Virgil van Dijk. And of course, that's the next member of this side. There's not really any explanation needed. If Van Dijk is one of the best defenders ever, he definitely gets into any manager that has managed him's team, if that makes sense. Klopp's definitely in there, Joe Gomez is pretty close behind, Dejan Lovren isn't, and there's also Nevan Subotic who had a few good years at Dortmund as well. Into the left back spot, much like with the right back decision between Alexander-Arnold and Lucas Piszczek, I feel like Liverpool's Andy Robertson has just about edged out Marcel Schmelzer in this team. Again, Robertson probably just better than Schmelzer, but you can't deny what the fullback did at Dortmund during those years with Klopp. Robertson, at the moment, seems to be playing, I'm going to say, a little bit higher than his level. I think Klopp has turned him into an unbelievable left back, and he probably wouldn't be at the same level if another manager was in charge. Still, despite this, the Scotsman earns a place in this team. Moving into midfield now, this is where things get a little bit dicey because Dortmund actually didn't play the exact same tactic Liverpool playing at the moment, but I've still gone with three central midfielders instead. And the defensive midfielder is Fabinho. Now, when he joined Liverpool, I mean, I for one wasn't necessarily convinced he was going to be that top level of defensive midfielder, and at the time as well, there were the likes of Bender and Nuri Sahin who both played a brilliant role for Klopp when he was at Dortmund. But Fabinho, especially this season, has shown he is just in a class of his own, and it was really difficult to leave him out of this side. Into one of the other central midfield roles now, and it's Jordan Henderson. He may not be the best player at Liverpool, but Klopp can't leave him out of his team for good reasons. There's no way he'd pick any other captain in his career, and I stand by that decision. Anyway, Henderson has been a fantastic player. There is, of course, Jorginho Wijnaldum, who you guess I mentioned him because he's not in the other midfield spot, and also Mario Götze as well. Now, Mario Götze is one of those who'd probably play a bit further forward if I wasn't picking this tactic, but we're going with a 4-3-3 because that's what Klopp currently plays with Liverpool. Anyway, alongside Jordan Henderson, and as you guessed, it's not Gini Wijnaldum, it's actually Ilkay Gundogan. Now, when Manchester City play Liverpool, things are pretty tense these days. They're the two best teams in England. They're both going for all the titles and all the trophies, but I'm sure neither will forget the many years they spent together at Dortmund being pretty good partners. Yeah, Gundogan was definitely the best central midfielder at the time in that team, and he even scored in the Champions League final where they lost to Bayern Munich. I've picked him in this team because he's still a quality player. He was back then, he is now, and certainly for me, he's a bit better than Henrik Mkhitaryan. So on to the front three now. This is where it gets really difficult. No manager would want to make this decision because it's really difficult to choose between these 6 or 7 players, but on the flip side, you would want that decision because it means all of them are in your team and you would have an utterly ridiculous front three. So the left-hand side is first, and for me it was a straight shootout between Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who actually played as a centre-forward at Dortmund, and Sadio Mane. At the moment, there's not much to choose between the two. I mean, they shared the Golden Boot last season. with Mo Salah, if I'm correct. Aubameyang was top goal scorer with Dortmund, although Sadio Mane was top goal scorer with Liverpool, and has got the Champions League and a Premier League title on top of that. I'm just picking Sadio Mane. Don't get me wrong, that is a ridiculously difficult call. And the only reason I'm not having Aubameyang in the centre is because once we get there, you'll realise just how easy a decision it was to pick the striker in this team. But before we get to that, the right-hand side. Now, it's between Mo Salah or Marco Reus. Again, Marco Reus, a brilliant player, such a massive part of Klopp's early success when he was at Dortmund, winning all of those trophies and titles. There was back-to-back Bundesligas, there was a couple of German Super Cups and DFB Pokals in there as well. But I'm not quite sure Marco Reus is ever going to hit or has hit the levels that Mo Salah has. I mean, since the Egyptian came in, a fantastic signing by Klopp in the first place, there's been goal after goal after goal after Premiership record after Champions League title and Premier League title, and there's just no way that Mo Salah wasn't going to be in this team. That's it, there's just no chance. So lastly but not least, and I did mention it was a rather easy decision, and despite the fact that Roberto Firmino is a good player, nobody wants a defensive forward, as he's so-called, in their side, because this front three with Mo Salah, Sadio Mane is rounded up by Robert Lewandowski. Yes, he was back then, and he's even more so now, one of the best strikers in Europe, an absolute goal machine, and I think Liverpool, hard to believe, would do even better than they're already doing if they had Lewandowski. It would just be insane. Not that he's ever going to be leaving Bayern Munich anytime soon. Anyway, he was a force to be dealt with when he was at Dortmund under Jürgen Klopp, and those 4 goals against Real Madrid in the semi-final of the Champions League certainly were a highlight of his and Klopp's career. So there you have it, my best 11 for the players that Jürgen Klopp has managed. But do you agree? And how well do you think this team would do, I don't know, in the Champions League? Certainly that front three would be something to deal with. You guys let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Smash the like button whilst you're at it and click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on Onefootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.